have the knowledge that it's wrong. He does. He doesn't care. Or he does, but not enough to stop him from taking it because it feels pretty good to get to take it. Now, when Nicole was talking, did you hear the hesitancy in her? When I made a couple of suggestions, she was hesitant, and then it came out. Well, if I do that, he's going to really get ugly. Now, if you as a parent are constricted in what you're allowed to do because you're afraid of how the child will react, you got a big authority problem here. So, if she does that, be prepared for what he may do. Keep an eye on him. He may kick a hole in the wall in a temper fit, at which point she's going to have to respond again with pretty consequences until he realizes, I can't do this. It's not in my best interest to do this. But Dr. A, he's not developing a sense of right or wrong. That doesn't help him develop a sense of right or wrong. She's already explained to him over and over and over why these things are not good. So what will happen is he'll have to find out, I'd better control myself, or these things are going to happen. I don't want these things to happen, so I'll control myself. Does that mean he has the self-control? No, probably not. This is all external control. But until those habits are broken, he's not going to develop any self-control. Why would he? You discipline me, I go crazy. Okay. So mom's thinking, okay, what discipline can I find that he will accept? Here's the problem with that. Inch by inch, he'll accept less. One of these times, he's going to get incredibly destructive just because she took TV from him. It's typically the way it goes. If I don't like how you discipline me, then I am more likely to dislike any kind of discipline. My tolerance for accepting the consequences of my behavior is getting less and less. Just some thoughts. I'm Dr. Ray.
This program is brought to you in part by MyLifeAngels.com. My Life Angels provides peace of mind by notifying you the moment a loved one enters an emergency room. Right on your smartphone, you'll have instant access to everything needed, including all legal documents, to ensure you are empowered to protect their life-affirming wishes. My Life Angels also alerts hospital ER staff with critical medical information and emergency contacts. More information at MyLifeAngels.com.
What is going to happen to the number of people living alone into their 80s and 90s? I'm Chuck Gatica, and this is Journey Strong. For various reasons, the number of seasoned saints in their 80s and 90s is climbing fast. Within this decade, the first baby boomers will turn 80. Gray divorce is a thing. And of course, there is the reality of our mortality. As expected, more females will enter their 80s and 90s alone. These statistics are sobering, but they don't have to be depressing. Some like living alone. Many of us have family nearby. But the stats show that families and public policy will be affected greatly by this demographic shift. So what can we do? Plan ahead. Honestly assess your health and abilities and make adjustments, even to your home. Embrace technology to help you on this journey. Build community with your family, friends, and in your parish. And remember, Jesus is always with us. It's a promise. For more, look for the Journey Strong tab at the homepage of AveMariaRadio.net.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Do you have an insurance plan that pays for everything, even things you don't believe in? There are options. You can join Solidarity Health Share, a faith-based health-sharing community. Plus, Solidarity Health Share can save you money with prices starting as low as $384 a month for families.
Call to see how much you can save. 844-398-9399. That's 844-398-9399.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Last segment, No Time. The Guess Who. I think it's a Guess Who. No Time Left for You. Well, no time left for these calls anyway, not just you. I got to talk just a little bit more about the friend who wants to leave her husband. Former pastor of ours, who has since passed away, said, when you are a faith-filled person and you want to leave anyway, you're basically saying that the Holy Spirit can't affect that marriage. The Holy Spirit does not have enough power to bring a healing and a better relationship to that marriage. Nothing's going to change. The people that I see who stay in very, very difficult marriages, very difficult, for the sake of their commitment, their religious beliefs, and their children, are among my heroes. I watch what they do. I get them as clients. They'll come in, they'll say, look, this is the situation. I want to deal with it as best I can for the sake of my family. And they'll describe situations that if 50% of it was true, it'd be major ugly. But they deal with it. And they do it because they're committed. They do it because their sense of the marriage, the sense of the family, the sense of the kids, they do it. And I just sit in awe of them. And I know there are those of you out there like this. A lot of religious people listen to Catholic media. And I know you're in some tough marriages. I don't doubt that for a moment. But yet you've persevered. You've found ways to make your marriage endurable, if you will. You found ways to provide a family life for your children, despite the fact that your marriage is struggling terribly. So, God bless you. God bless you. God strengthen you. You are my heroes. Truly, truly. Thanks for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. I got to run. Well, I don't have to run. My age. I got to walk. Good Lord permitting. I'll see you on Monday. Walk with God. And hold those kids tight by the hand. Can't hold them if you leave them.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Celebrating 2,000 years of truth. This is the Guadalupe Radio Network. Radio for your soul.
I've been listening to Guadalupe Radio for a couple years now, and I think it was a bumper sticker I saw on somebody's car one time, and it's a radio station that I don't have to be concerned about or worried about. When the kids and I are driving, I don't have to worry about inappropriate items. It's just the opposite. It's educational. I've learned so many different topics and on different subjects that I couldn't believe being a Catholic and being baptized as a child. There's so many things I didn't know, and now in these past couple of years that I've been listening in, I've learned so much.
Attention DFW residents. Do you love golf? Well, so do our sponsors at Catholic Pro-Life Community. Join them on September 21st at 12 p.m. at the Cowboys Golf Club on 1600 Fairway Drive in Grapevine for the 23rd Annual Pro-Life Community Golf Classic. Playing will not just benefit you, but also help change the lives for expectant mothers who chose the gift of life. For further information, visit prolifedallas.org.
Hello, it's Todd Sluter, licensed professional counselor with Epiphany Counseling and sponsor of GRN. I've been blessed to work with many individuals, couples, teens, and families in our diocese, incorporating counseling principles with authentic Catholic values. God wants you to have a greater sense of joy and purpose. If you or someone you know are struggling to find purpose, stuck moving forward with goals in life, or a relationship is not working, you may need to seek a counselor to help regain hope and healing. You may get in touch with me at 469-556-8336.
At first, it felt like a relief.
I thought I would forget about it with time.
I was not prepared to accept the responsibility.
Then things changed.
I felt anger, and things started going wrong everywhere.
The depression wouldn't let me be who I used to be.
Are you a man suffering due to a loss from an abortion decision? You are not alone. There are people who can help at ProjectJosephDallas.org.
I realized I had lost my child.
I felt like I couldn't be forgiven.
Now it's been years and years of this.
Don't suffer alone. Visit ProjectJosephDallas.org. A message from Project Joseph of Dallas, a ministry for men who have suffered the experience of abortion.
Thanks for listening to KATH 910 AM, Frisco, Dallas, Fort Worth on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Catholic radio for your soul in North Texas. Heard also on grnonline.com and on your smartphone. Welcome to Back to the Father, a show about the journey of life focused on our final end, which is God Himself, our loving Father. And now, here's your host, Dave Palmer.
And hi, everybody. Welcome to this Friday's edition of Back to the Father here on the Guadalupe Radio Network social media sites of Facebook, YouTube, and X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. We're glad you're with us. Saw a few people jumping on right before the show started. And this is a show where we have kind of a roundtable discussion about some topic related to the Summa Theologia of St. Thomas Aquinas. And we're glad that you're with us. This is a participatory show. In fact, on Catholic Drive Time this morning, Rudy specifically said, do you guys take calls on Back to the Father? And I said, of course we do. Any way you want to communicate with us, Morse code, smoke signals, email,
Wait,
text.
who's interpreting the smoke signals and the Morse code? Is that my job?
It's never happened. So we haven't had anybody. But if people start doing that, then we're going to have to hire somebody who knows how to interpret Morse code. I mean, like, beep, 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 beep. Wouldn't that be hilarious if somebody actually did that?
If someone really wanted to really mess with us, and then I'd have to go look it up. When I was a kid, I was determined that I was going to learn Morse code because I thought I might need it one day.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a spy or something.
Or if you get kidnapped.
Yeah.
You ever heard the people that they like send signals?
With like blinking or something like that. Or you're tapping on something. I think I did know how to do SOS anyway.
Yeah. I used to send you Morse code signals during the show, but you never picked up on them, so I just stopped doing it.
So clearly I didn't know.
Yeah. I was like, and then smoke signals would set off the alarms, and I just didn't think that would be a
Kent
good
might not
idea,
be happy with us.
No, definitely not. But speaking of smoke signals, I got a picture up here on this first picture. See that transition?
Wow.
Okay, but let me just say that the topic for today was a source of a little bit of embarrassment for me this morning because there's no absolute rhyme or reason as to how I pick topics. To be honest with you, I kind of zip through the Summa and I just find a topic and I say, wait, we've never talked about that before. That seems like it'd be kind of interesting. So yesterday, late in the day, I thought, you know what? I got to send an email to Adrian and Rudy that what we're going to talk about tomorrow morning on Friday morning. And I said, let's do what I call sloth. Adrian calls it sloth.
Sloth.
Okay. So
who calls it sloth besides Adrian?
But I conformed on CDT this morning.
You conformed?
Because here's why.
Okay.
Because a few weeks ago we were talking about the sophists, right? The Greek philosophers who were Socrates' kind of intellectual opponents, and every philosopher that I've seen on YouTube that I trust, like Dr. Peter Kraft and people, they all call them sophists. So I got on the air and I said, we're going to talk about the sophists. And Adrian's like, okay, the sophists? He starts talking about sophists. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we're saying it. So today he introduces me and says, Dave's going to talk about sloth.
Is that a running joke?
No, I think he
actually
he was. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say, I'm not 100% sure. I think the animal sloth Is the deadly sin sloth? I mean, I thought it was sloth. I mean, yeah.
You know what? We need an English professor on here to help us with these things.
I know. I did a search before the show, and William heard me. I did. You go on YouTube, and they'll like pronounce it, and it was this English guy, and he's like, "It is pronounced sloth, sloth." And I'm like, yeah, okay.
So not sloth.
Anyways, I don't know if Adrian's here to defend himself, but I just got to pick some word that isn't like confusing. But
right. You need to find some word that everyone can unanimously agree on.
Yeah. So then the other thing is I'm like, why did I pick sloth, the deadly sin of sloth, on Our Lady's birthday?
Oh.
And so I get in the car this morning, and I'm listening to CDT on my way here because I do my segment at 7:00 from the studio here. And I hear Rudy and Adrian celebrating Our Lady, and it's her birthday, and Dave will be on next hour talking about the deadly sin of sloth.
And you're like, that just brought the mood down.
I know, but you know what? There's an absolute connection. So I immediately texted them and I said, hey, start off my segment talking about the Blessed Mother.
Okay, we got another person voting for sloth, by the way.
Oh, really?
And Forrest is. So he says he's always heard sloth. Is it like a regional thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you would think sloth, right?
I would say I always say sloth. Yeah.
Sloth. So I just didn't feel like because I got my segment is so short in the morning anyways.
Spending all the time arguing over.
If we get into like a back and forth about like how do you pronounce it, so but it also I'll get to the Blessed Mother thing here eventually about what the connection to it. Because I think it's actually a good connection, but totally accidental. I didn't plan it that way. But it's also a very misunderstood deadly sin, but it's also a fascinating one, if deadly sin's going to be fascinating. Because I think, and I said this on the show this morning, I bet you 9 people out of 10, if you say, what is sloth, are going to respond with one particular word. So I'll put you guys to the test. What do you think that one word is? Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they're all going to say laziness, but sloth is not. It's not laziness. Traditionally, that has not been the definition
That's what
of
my
it,
mom
right?
said, yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the way. She's like, what's the show about today? And I said, we're talking about sloth. And she said, what is it? And I said, it's basically laziness. And she said,
no, it's not. Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. All right. Your mom is so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm supposed to mow the yard and instead I watch a college football game, that's not the deadly sin of sloth.
Right.
Okay. In fact, it's
what sin would that fall under then?
Laziness.
Oh.
No, I mean laziness. I think
it's its own thing.
Yeah, it's kind of its own thing.
The way she described it was laziness it's separate from sloth. Laziness is like just being lazy and like not doing any work. But sloth is like it's not the word's not lazy, but it's like you're not focusing on your studies, your education. You're being
the negligent or negligent.
Something like
it's
that,
it's actually more than that. I mean, she's getting a lot closer to it. But when I tell you the actual definition of it, it's really fascinating. I'll tell you that in a second.
Oh, yeah, one other. I remember now. She said it had something to do with immorality or something like that, like the ability to not, like you're not doing your duty or something.
You're not doing what you should be doing.
Right,
yeah,
yes.
that's part of it as well. But the definition is just kind of wild. But I want to also talk about it in comparison to the other deadly sins as well, because it's very different from all the other deadly sins in many ways. I think it's something that we should talk about more. I mean, when's the last time, and again, we can talk about our confessions. Priests can't talk about our confessions. But have you ever gone to confession and said, I'm going to confess sloth?
I don't know if I've ever said sloth, though use that word, but I've definitely done laziness in spiritual life and in chores and things like that. I've used that.
Oh, I do
times.
that.
I say that. Honestly, it's terrible. Yeah, it's like a staple. Like I just couldn't reuse my old confession. Just be like
laziness all the time.
add to that.
And I always add on like, I'm a father and a husband, head of the household. I mean, so it's actually worse for me than you guys. I mean, because you have nobody under your immediate spiritual care right now.
Just my dog.
Yeah.
By the way, Forrest says sloth is slow moving or lazy. The other pronunciation indicates, spiritual inefficiency or unwillingness to sacrifice. So he's saying that it might be a separation, like sloth might be like the animal, like the laziness, and then sloth might be the spiritual.
Okay. I wish
I need an English major to come over here and confirm.
Yeah, I know. Somebody help us out here, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to say sloth. I mean, if you want to say Sloth, you can do that, but we're going to say it's Sloth. And by the way, Rudy was asking about phone calls. If anybody's out there and wants to call during the live show today, 877-757-9424. So anyways, happy birthday to the Blessed Mother.
Woo-hoo. We should have had a cake.
And, there's one on the screen there. Can't you see that one? Yeah.
We should have had a cake we could eat.
No, yeah.
I correct myself.
So do you guys, have y'all ever done like cakes for the Blessed Mother or anything like liturgically?
I have for the birthday of the church. Pentecost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got up this early this morning to get up here, and my little 10-year-old son comes running down the stairs at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and he says, "Dad, we're making a cake today." And I said, "What for, buddy?" And he said, "For Blessed Mother's birthday."
Aww.
And so he and my wife were going to do that. And Rudy was saying on the show this morning that his wife was going to throw a party today.
That's awesome.
I remember interviewing a lady, her name, I'll never forget this. I mean, I normally don't remember this kind of stuff. Her name was Meredith Gould. And early on, this must have been like 15 years ago, in Catholic radio, I interviewed her, and she wrote a book called The Catholic Home. And it's all about traditions. And I want to say she was a Jewish convert, because in a lot of our celebrations, kind of stem from Jewish liturgical feasts and things like that. Yeah. But, like Pentecost, a little birthday party on Pentecost, because it's the birthday of the church or the Blessed Mother. They only celebrate 3 birthdays in the liturgical calendar right here. Jesus, Mary, and I think John the Baptist. John the Baptist. So anyways. All right, so happy birthday. I put that as a bonus question on a test that I gave for my high school students today. I said, what do we celebrate today? Nice. And they had all just been like, as a school, praying the rosary. So I was like, and one of the kids said, Mary's incarnation. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. Because her incarnation would have been at her conception, right?
Yeah,
then you would become...
That would have been the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah, I feel bad because it's kind of creative.
It was a very creative answer.
Do I just give it to them?
I did a test for my young adults last night, and that was one of the questions was, whose Immaculate Conception do we celebrate on December 8th? And actually, there was a few... It was kind of split, actually. Everyone got a little confused, I think.
They said Jesus?
Yeah.
I used to think that as well.
It's very easy. It's a very common misconception. The Immaculate Conception is a misconception.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so here's the next slide. I have 4 pictures, and the first one is a sloth. I mean, God is so creative, and all the different animals. They're so... Does anybody have a pet sloth? I mean, is that possible?
You would never be on time to anything if you had a pet sloth.
But is it just like God with a sense of humor to make a creature like this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look at that little face. I mean, they're just so cute. Where do you find sloths? I mean, they're not in America, are they?
Where do you...
I want to say Australia, but
I was going to say,
yeah.
I feel like you find everything in Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So all these pictures mean
Central
something.
America.
Central
Brazil
America.
and also Brazil and Peru. So like
I wonder if
Panama,
if they need to, can they book it? I mean, are they just always slow? Or if they're
are they ever concerned and worried enough to move their behinds?
Because what's their defense mechanism? Why wouldn't something just... I mean, they can climb trees clearly, and so that's one thing, but... so anyways, the top right picture is what people typically think of with sloth. It's kind of the couch potato, the lazy dude, right?
They have 3 to 4 inch long claws and teeth.
Oh, okay. So don't mess with them.
They're surprisringly strong despite their slow movement, and they camouflage.
Wouldn't it be great to have a pet sloth? It'd be so...
the teeth might deter me a little bit. The 4-inch teeth.
Yeah, right. So, there are some creatures that are faster than you think. I remember when we were in Galveston, and there were these little sand crabs that you go on the beach in the evening, and there's all these little sand crabs, and they are fast. I mean, my goodness, they can move. All right, bottom left picture actually is probably closer to sloth than the top right picture is. Top right is laziness, and the bottom right is kind of a hint about sloth as well. And the guy the bottom left isn't like despairing just because
the bottom right, is she laughing or is she like dying? I can't tell.
I think she's, I did a search for joy.
Okay.
And almost every picture for joy, it's people jumping. For some reason, it's
jumping
always
for
like,
joy.
Like
That's
people
why.
are always jumping when they're having for joy. So, okay, so next slide. So Thomas says, is sloth a sin? And he first of all says, according to Damascene, sloth is an oppressive sorrow which to wit so weighs upon man's mind that he wants to do nothing. Okay, so the key word with sloth is sorrow. You know, a guy sitting on a couch watching a football game and who should be, mowing the yard, he's not sorrowful. So that's just laziness. That's just not doing what you should do, right? But then, so then the bottom one is even more accurate. It's a sorrow for spiritual good. Okay, so that's the key right there. But the question is, why would you be sorrowful for a good? Okay, I mean, why? So the next picture.
So sorrowful for the lack of good, or sorrowful for?
No, the sorrowful for a good. For a good.
So you're doing a good thing, but you're sad about it.
No.
I'm confused. I'm confused.
No, let me give
Please.
you. I'm giving you an example. If I said, if the thought of going to mass makes you sad, which is, I think, the case for a lot of people. Like a lot of teenagers. Or let's say the thought of praying a rosary, the thought of, a spiritual good, or the very thought of God. Okay, that, let's say
it feels like a burden, and you just feel like, oh, why do I have to do this? Oh, I can't believe I have to pray. I have to go to mass.
Right. Okay. So little Johnny, you're going to get confirmed this weekend, and he's like, again, and we'll get into this. It's not that Johnny just committed, a capital sin. He'd have to know what he's doing. Right. But it's an interesting thing, and that's why I think very few people really understand this sin. It's when there's a spiritual gift that is presented to us, and rather than being excited about it, joyful about it, it actually brings us sorrow. Okay, it weighs on us.
Interesting.
And is it not extremely common in our culture today? I mean, every single night, hey, everybody, time to pray the rosary. Oh,
yeah.
I remember we used to travel in across the country or road trips, and my dad. He would start jingling for his rosary in his pocket, and
everyone's like, no, or I have to cut the music, and the vibes are going away.
And we'd all start pretending like we're sleeping.
Yep.
And Dad would be, all right, time for the rosary, but that's kind of sloth. I mean, it's like a spiritual good, but you don't see the good in it. Okay, totally different from laziness, right? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so anyways, if you're out there and you have any comments about that, let us know. We're going to get into a few other things here. I got some really cool trivia, by the way, at the end of the program as well. I just take so much joy in pitting you two against each other. I just think it's so much fun.
Is that a sin? No.
Yeah, especially Sissel, because she's so competitive. My goodness.
Yeah. Dave thought I was a very chill person until we started the show.
Yeah, right. I saw the other side. So next picture shows this celebration, a party. Have you ever been to a party and you're just not enjoying it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
So, I mean, I remember being at a party one time and somebody walked up to me and said, "Are you okay?"
That's the worst. And you're like, "Oh man," you're like, "I didn't even pass that I'm having fun."
And I remember dancing one time in college with a young lady, and I don't like to dance. I just don't. I'm not much of a dancer. And in the middle of the dance, she's like, "You're not enjoying this, are you?"
Oh no. That's awkward.
I'm just totally self-conscious. But the point is, the purpose of a party is for people to have fun.
Right.
So if you're at a party and you're not having fun, there's something weird about that, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess the question that we can kind of throw out and discuss on the program today is, what would cause sloth for somebody to not get into or enjoy a spiritual good? If it's a spiritual good, in fact, we're going to see here in a moment, it's the goodness of God. Next week, I'm going to teach in my high school class the attributes of God. And you would think that everybody learning about the attributes of God, it would be better than the best day of their life. I mean, you're learning about the greatest good in the world, but most people would be like, we got to learn about the attributes of God. Why is that? Why is it something so good can create so much intellectual lethargy? I don't know. Is it just the way maybe we don't present it well enough, or so anyway? So that's sloth. I mean, all right. So do y'all? Let me see. Do y'all know the 7 deadly sins off the top of your head?
Lust, greed, sloth, envy.
Let me see if I
Anger? Is that one?
Okay, so
Lust.
and I'm not, and you're keeping track of comments. If
Yes,
anybody's
I
out
am.
there that wants to weigh in on this. Okay, so you said
Lust.
Okay, wait. Did I not really? Okay. Okay. So you said okay. So greed.
Greed, lust, sloth.
And you said
anger,
sloth. You know,
envy.
Envy. Okay. Greed, lust, anger, sloth, envy. Pride.
What's the last one? Why can't I think of that one?
Sloth, envy, greed.
Gluttony.
Gluttony. Okay. So think about these when you think about it. So gluttony is an inordinate desire for something good, right?
Yeah.
Greed is an inordinate desire for something good, like self-excellence, right? Yeah. That's what I think Thomas would say. That, we're all excellent. We're all amazing people. But when you inordinately, lust is a inordinate desire for something good. And pride is an inordinate desire for something good. So you see the trend here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anger is an inordinate reaction to something bad, right? Like, whatever. Your food's late at the restaurant and you turn the table over. I mean, that would
a little
be,
bit.
So that's a little bit different. But sloth is like the total opposite. It's like not an inordinate desire for something good. It's kind of like running from the good. It's like it's like you're repulsed by the good. And then, I find that so interesting. Is that it's so? They say pride is the beginning of all sin, and covetousness or envy is the root of all sin. I would say, and I don't know if anybody else, like doctors of the church have said this, but it seems like most of the other cardinal sins kind of lead to sloth. Because if you're like why would you not want to go to church? It's because you want to do something else. You want to watch a football game.
I was just about to say football game, yeah.
Or like, why would most of the time you don't want to do something spiritual because there's something more temporal that you'd like to do instead. You like to be with your friends. You like to sleep in, right? So all the other ones kind of lead to sloth.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So in some ways, it's kind of like the culmination of all of them. I don't know. And it seems to like really serious too, because if you're actually bored by the thought of God or you're repulsed by the thought of worshiping,
a little bit of a problem.
I would say
small
so.
problem.
Yeah, I would say so. Right. So all right. So there are the 7 deadly sins, and okay. So let's get a few things here, and then we'll get into an open discussion. Remember, we used to take breaks on this program.
Yeah. Well, we still can.
Okay. I don't know. You want to take a break?
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Kind of clear the palate.
2 seconds, so I can have some actual music. So otherwise, you'll have to listen to me sing.
Okay, that's all right. So, William, do you have any other thoughts or reflections on this?
Not really at the moment. No. Right.
Okay.
So far, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, but it's interesting though.
It is interesting. Yes.
I mean, people. I don't know. I think it's like if there's a deadly sin that by its very definition can send you to hell.
Yeah.
Should we probably know what it is?
Right.
Should we probably,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, it's not really talked about in that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. It's just kind of a fascinating thing. We don't know how to pronounce it.
Right.
How can we understand it?
Much less what it is.
All right, I'm ready for a break, by the way.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And this is Back to the Father. We're talking about the capital vice of sloth. And we appreciate your comments. If you want to call in, it'd be pretty cool to have a phone call. 877-757-9424. I'm going to teach a little bit from the Summa, and then we'll have our last segment of discussion, and then also some fun trivia after that. Okay, so we'll be right back. There's a part of me that would just rather listen to that song for the next 5 minutes.
Right? I was like, man, you're cutting us off right as we're getting to like the crescendo
I know,
here.
I love that song.
I thought it was only appropriate on Mary's birthday.
But you know, when you get 15 texts saying, get back to the program, will ya?
Wow, we got 15 texts?
No, actually, we didn't get any. But all right, so let's do a little teaching, and then we'll open up for some conversation. Okay, so Thomas asks in the Summa, is sloth a special vice? Okay, so I'm going to read this little paragraph here and tell me if it makes sense. Maybe we can ask William to summarize it, okay? So see if you can summarize this.
We'll see.
He says, wherefore we must say that a certain order exists among spiritual goods. Okay, so there's an order. Since all the spiritual goods that are in the acts of each virtue are directed to one spiritual good, which is the divine good. Okay, so all good things are directed towards God. Okay, that's easy enough. About which there is a special virtue, charity. Hence, it is proper to each virtue to rejoice in its own special good, which consists in its own act, while it belongs especially to charity to have that spiritual joy whereby one rejoices in the divine good. Okay, so every virtue should cause joy in us. Okay, if we're temperate or we have fortitude or we're patient or modest, we should have a certain degree of joy. But with charity, we especially get excited because we are, kind of celebrating the divine good. Okay, that's the highest of the virtues is charity. In like manner, the sorrow whereby one is displeased at the spiritual good, which is in each act of virtue, belongs not to any special virtue, but to every vice. Okay, so every vice is in some sense a sorrow against the opposing virtue. Okay, so if you're impatient, that's a sorrow against patience. Okay, but sorrow in the divine good about which charity rejoices belongs to a special vice, which is called sloth. Okay, so, and again, like I mentioned before, I think it's a huge problem in our culture today where people some people hate God, some people don't believe in God, but even the people who believe in God are not that excited about him. Like, oh yeah, I believe in God. Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't really affect our day-to-day life. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that blows me away.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's sloth. I mean, and this is the biggest problem is the thing we're never talking about is how do you, and maybe that'd be a theme of a share-a-thon, the dispelling sloth.
Ooh.
Spring share-a-thon.
I can just see the graphic now. Rudy could have a sloth, our logo. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. So, so sloth is a special vice because it's directed against God. Okay. It's kind of like almost like a person that you know that kind of maybe bores you, or you're just like not that interested in being around. But if you're that way with God, that's not good. Like God's just not that exciting. I mean, I wish it was a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, kind of like like commandment 4 through 10 is against the neighbor, and commandment 1 through 3 is against God. It's kind of it's kind of like that.
It's like more important, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So now it says the sloth of mortal sin. Okay, so this is kind of interesting because it explains what makes a sin mortal.
Well, because the thing is, like, we're talking about we don't talk about it. I feel like for a lot of people, it may not be a mortal sin because they don't know the seriousness, the grave matter of it. You know,
and if they don't, then it isn't.
Then
right?
It isn't. That's like one of the three things it has to be.
So how does a sin go from venial to mortal?
Full knowledge. Full knowledge of this, what the sin is. It's something about where you weren't coerced into doing it. You had to be like full consent to the consent of it. And grave matter.
Grave matter. Oh, very good.
Thank you. I did my catechism.
So, all right. So Thomas says here, mortal sin is so called because it destroys the spiritual life, which is the effect of charity, whereby God dwells in us. Wherefore, any sin which by its very nature is contrary to charity is a mortal sin by reason of its genus. And such is sloth because the proper effect of charity is joy in God. Okay, so if we have charity, we will naturally rejoice in God. While sloth is sorrow about spiritual good, inasmuch as it is a divine good. Therefore, sloth is a mortal sin in respect of its genus. So how many people are out there not like guilty of the mortal sin of sloth, but objectively speaking, are committing it?
Probably a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And they're like, don't tell me. I remember I had a high school kid in my class many years ago say, I said, I was going to explain some things that are mortal sin. And he's like, don't tell me, Mr. Palmer. Because
he's like, now I don't know, and so I can't say.
Yeah, right. He wanted to stay invincibly ignorant. But I don't know. I don't know. This is, for some reason, this is something that just is never talked about. Except for on Back to the Father, I might add. Okay.
So all of you listening, you're now with us.
all three of you.
Hey, Buddy's here, Annabelle's here, and so is Forrest. We have people. Okay, that is 3 people.
All right,
but you know what? 3 besides us, so it's 6 total.
Yeah, well, my mom may be watching.
There you go.
The next one says, it must be observed with regard to all sins that are mortal in respect to their genus, that they are not mortal save when they attain to their perfection. Isn't that interesting to say like a sin attains its perfection? But he means like the ultimate, I guess the highest level of a sin, because the consummation of sin is the consent of reason. For we are speaking now of human sins consisting in human acts, the principle of which is the reason. Wherefore, if the sin be a mere beginning of sin in the sensuality alone, without attaining to the consent of reason, it is a venial sin on account of the imperfection of the act. Okay, does that make sense?
I think so.
So next picture, this guy getting very upset with his nurse or doctor. You see that picture? Okay, so at what point does that go from venial sin to mortal sin? Okay, like you can get angry with somebody, but at what point does that become a mortal sin? Yeah. It's kind of like an important question, isn't it?
I mean, like, for example, if you're getting violent about it, that could definitely be a mortal sin. If your anger leads on to violence and different things like that, it could definitely be.
Yeah, gosh, you attack the doctor. I mean, that would
be definitely, but I guess it's like if you put undue, you can imagine someone maybe at a doctor's office just received some really bad news, so mental state may not be the best, so they might lash out in
but
that
you
instant.
shouldn't throw the doctor across the room, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. But the thing is, if you continue to have that, if in a moment you're just like, please leave me, please stay away from me, I don't want to talk to anyone right now, that's like one thing. But if you're just continuing to be like, how could you do this to me, and blaming the doctor, like,
it's like this. And I mean, we've probably all been through this in our head, and Thomas is going to use the example of lust here in the next one, but it's probably a very common one for a lot of people. Is like, when did that go from?
Yeah, when did that go from just a
because there has
thought.
to be like a line, you know, like, okay, it just went from venial to mortal. So when does that happen? So here's Thomas. He says, thus in the genus of adultery, the concupiscence that goes no further than the sensuality is a venial sin, whereas if it reached to the consent of reason, it's a mortal sin. Okay, so adultery, a guy, a married man looks at a woman, says, "Oh wow, she's really pretty," and then wow, she's really pretty. Okay, then I guess you at some point it's like, whoa, hold on, okay, you just went into venial sin, but then he says, so too the movement of but that immortal sin if there's a consent to the reason. I don't think that the person would have to actually commit adultery. You could commit a mortal sin even in your head.
I think you just have to, you're dwelling on it and like, oh, wow, she's really, really pretty. Oh, man, you just stay on that thought.
Yeah.
And don't get out of it.
Jason Everett said one time, he said, a venial sin is noticing a bird flying by, and then a mortal sin is allowing it to build a nest in your head.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
Yep.
No, I haven't, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so too the movement of sloth is sometimes in the sensuality alone by reason of the opposition of the flesh to the spirit. Okay, I want to stay home and sleep rather than going to mass. Okay, venial sin perhaps. You're thinking it, you're putting something temporal above something, higher. Then it is a venial sin. Whereas sometimes it reaches to the reason which consents in the dislike, horror, and detestation of the divine good on account of the flesh utterly prevailing over the spirit. In this case, sloth is a mortal sin. Okay, so that sounds pretty drastic. I mean, that's like, I hate you, God, or, like you really have to go pretty far for it to be a mortal sin. So anyways, I found that kind of interesting. All right, so any thoughts about sloth or anything that we talked about? Those of you who are out there in
By the
social
way,
media land?
Annabelle says that we're small but mighty. Our audience, so we're small but mighty, like the Spartans. So there.
Were the Spartans small?
I don't know, but we're mighty like the Spartans.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. Okay, so let's spend a little bit of time that we have. The cool thing about social media shows is that you're not stuck on any kind of clock, and so we can transition into the trivia anytime. But if there are any comments or any thoughts, we've got a decent number of people. Yeah, small but mighty little army of viewers right now, mostly commenting on YouTube. So, all right, this is your chance to ask any questions, make comments, insights, whatever you want. But I don't know. I find it kind of interesting. It's Sloth there.
What is the way to go about discussing this regularly? You know what I mean? I'm trying to think do you because if you put on, what would be hilarious? You put on not hilarious. I mean this in a very kind of dark humor way. You put on a event at your parish talking about sloth. Let's talk about the sin of sloth. And then everyone's I don't want. And then but everyone's I don't want to go to that.
I know nobody would come.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody
But then right then and there they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm how does one get someone to have this discussion? I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Have
you ever in your life seen any talk
advertised?
The
7
only
thing I've ever
at
seen
the parish
is on the 7 deadly sins. I think I've seen a few that, but more than likely they're not going to be focusing on sloth for this long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out.
It's the one that just kind of gets overlooked. I mean,
right. I'm trying to figure because everyone's oh, I know I'm lazy, that kind of thing. So they're going to go on like that.
And everybody knows, when they've committed lust, and they know when they've committed.
Yeah, it's really
gluttony.
there are very
obvious,
good lines for a lot of things. You're I know when I got too angry. I know when these are much harder.
Yeah, right. I mean, some of them are so obvious. Pride is well, I don't know. I mean,
that's true because there's things you have to be proud. You can be proud of something that you've done or accomplished, but you can't take pride, so much pride in certain. Yeah, that one's a whole tricky one too.
There's a spectrum, and again, where is that line crossed? And if it's a deadly sin, I want to know when I crossed over it.
I wish you had a little radar thing where you, as soon as you got too far, just start ding 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 ding, hot and cold.
And you can see other people's alarms.
Right. And it goes off. It's a little light that goes off, but then also you get an alarm in your head, and you're just nope, stay away.
But the alarm tell you which sin somebody's committing? I mean, because I could be really angry right now.
I think what should happen is that other people should get a little light notification. If you could see, okay, that person's going through something right now. But you in your head, you have lust, sloth.
So you only know personally.
Personally. In dangerous sloth.
Gosh. Well, they say that there's technology out there that could one day allow us to read other people's minds. And
no one wants that.
Oh my goodness.
No one actually wants that. What are scientists doing?
That, we need to put
scientists, they don't understand. No one wants that.
Could you imagine?
You know what you want? We want to be able to fold fitted sheets.
You're right. Yeah, we don't want that.
Forget this science. We want to be able to fold fitted sheets.
Well, they say the first result, if we could read each other's minds, is the end of all friendships.
Right.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine?
Because you just have a split second. Maybe you're going through a rough time. Your best friend comes and tells you. Okay, imagine 2 women. One woman struggling with infertility. One woman is just announcing that she's pregnant. In that moment, that one friend may not be thinking the nicest thought in her head. Can you imagine if the first thing she hears is I'm actually not happy for you
or
now.
Your thoughts scroll across your forehead or something.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, that would have to be the signal of the end of the world. I mean, because everybody would just be killing each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be
it would be.
bizarre.
You couldn't trust anyone because you know everyone's thoughts.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know.
Anyhow.
Crazy. Okay, so.
Anyhow.
Moving on. All right, moving on.
But Annabelle says, we can have these little sensors like dog collars when they get too close, to the fence.
Oh.
The electric fence.
Well, but also it'll be easier to know when you need to go to confession. Because
I think when you
a little alarm goes off when you're in mortal sin.
I think even just a little one, that for mortal sin, but also one just letting you know when you're getting into dangerous territory and you're not realizing what things in your life you are allowing into your life that are getting you in danger. Not maybe mortal sin yet, but venial sin. It could lead to mortal sin. You don't realize I am focusing too much of my brain energy on this one thing that's really damaging. So,
well, let me ask you and be honest, and I'd love to get everybody else's thoughts on this as well. And hey, we're all adults. Let's be honest with each other.
I don't want to.
Even William's an adult now, aren't you? Yeah, you're 18, so you're an adult. So, I mean, do you enjoy going to Mass? I mean, because I will say for much of my life, I always went. There's a short period of my life when I didn't, like in college, but and sometimes as an adult, as like a father, you hey, let's all go to Mass, everybody. This is great. But I can honestly say, I mean, I enjoy going to Mass. I mean, I really do. But I think, and it doesn't matter if you go. You don't have to love it. You just need to do it, right? Do I enjoy praying the Rosary every night? Well, not always. I mean, sometimes it's a chore. So I don't know. What do you think?
I personally, for me, to be completely honest, there are times when I feel like I don't want to go because I've got too much school. I choose to go because it's a good thing to do, even though I do regularly get distracted in Mass and all of that. But it is a good thing to go, and I do go. The one thing I don't like is when I have to go, like there are certain times in the day when I don't want to go to Mass, like in the evening. I'd prefer to go in the early morning. So like things like that I can work around to make it like work. But it kind of just depends on the day and
whenever
the time.
I don't feel like I'm enjoying the idea of going to Mass is usually when I've done something in my schedule where I've made it so I'm very stressed and tired, and I'm like, oh, I have to go to Mass. And like, for instance, right now I either go to like a 7 a.m. Mass or I go to the 5 p.m. Mass, because those are the two that my schedule allows me to do. And sometimes, so when your alarm goes off at like 6 something in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's my first thought. I'm like, why is my alarm going off? Once I'm up and going to Mass, I'm very happy to be there. I love my parish. I love being able to celebrate Mass, and it's very beautiful. But yeah, there's definitely times, or at the end of the day when 5 p.m. Mass comes around, I'm like, oh, I still have to go to Mass. You're like, oh shoot. But those are all things within my control that I've allowed. And so yeah.
And so I think
some people have commented about that. Annabelle says, I went to Mass out of duty and then I got it, and now I can't get enough Jesus. Heck yeah. And then Forrest says that he does, but when he first converted, he didn't. So
and I think again, this is kind of an interesting thing, because the commandment says you must, we have to go to Mass, right? It didn't say you have to enjoy it. You have to, what our responsibility is to be
just
there.
go honor.
Well, and I think the thing is we have to be careful with the word enjoy too, because oftentimes we get very much misinterpret what we mean by that.
True.
It's not like you're going to a movie, you're not going to a concert, you're not going to be entertained. The priest may not be on fire with his homily that day. He may not make the most dynamic priest that you're going to have. That's not the important thing, because you should have joy in being able to attend Mass, not the joy of being entertained at Mass.
But since Thomas used the word joy and a few times, I will say, and tell me your thoughts on this, is if you're at Mass and you intellectually understand and believe that after the consecration you have Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity present on the altar, how could you not just be bouncing off the walls? And if you, again, I say bouncing off the walls. Like really into it.
There should be an elation or something.
Is there not some sloth there?
Right.
Is that not like
you just let it pass by without really recognizing what's happening?
Yeah, it's the Eucharist is a spiritual good par excellence, right?
It's something that you don't really. I feel like, because when you're in Mass, like especially if you go like all the time, like I do, I go every day. It's sometimes really easy to forget what's really going on the altar, because we're human beings and we're creatures that want to see things. Although you can't really see that physically, even though it's really happening on the altar. So I think we just forget about it sometimes. But when you really do think about it, it's like that is pretty amazing.
Recently, because there's ways we can help ourselves remembering how important it is. There's certain things like, obviously there's certain mannerisms and respectfulness, but there are even things that I hadn't even quite thought of. And our priest pointed it out recently. He gave a talk, and he was talking about, we have a very strong altar server program at our parish. And he's very, very intentional with the people, the kids that are doing it. And he said that what he's trying to get them to do is he's telling them, you have to help me lead our entire congregation in what the proper, position is for the most important thing of their week. And that's like sitting up straight, being focused, like not, because we can get like, you get in the pew and you're like, what's the most comfortable position I can get in to be all like, sit and enjoy. But he's very much like he has the guys. They just sit up straight. They're very intentional. They're looking at the altar. They're not distracted. They're not So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that is. One other thing, and we have to transition to the next thing right now. And thank you for all the comments that are coming through as well. Good to have you all with us. But we talked about William of Ockham. Philosopher, nominalism. And man, I've been doing a deep dive into this whole realism versus nominalism, universalism. And, we've talked about this a little bit in Back to the Father, but I'm telling you, the more I think about this, and this ties into what we're talking about the Eucharist, is nominalism, I think, has destroyed the belief in the real presence. Because
I think
do you know where I'm going with this?
I agree, yeah.
Because realism means there's something real in things, okay? So a bird is not just a name that we give it. It's just a bird, right? William of Ockham and nominalists, David Hume, Kant, was a nominalist, would just say it's just a name we give it, right? So it's a bird, okay? But a realist would say, no, there's something real in that. And it's so hard to explain that. And I'm trying so hard to be able to find ways to explain realism. Because if you have bread and wine that has the accents of bread and wine, that is bread and wine. And then afterwards you have what looks like bread and wine accidentally, but really has changed into the body and blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ.
Right.
That's a real change. But nominalists would just say, it's just a name. Okay, yeah, you can say it's the body, blood, Jesus, but it really is. That's why we call it the real presence. I mean, that's realism. Right. And again, I struggle to explain this, but man, I'm telling you, this nominalism is, again, it's like Sloth. Nobody's talking about it, but there's something. I've been asked to do a talk next November about how William of Ockham destroyed the world. And so I'm putting my notes together. Okay, next November for Claritas.
Save your dates,
so please circle your calendars. Okay, what did Forrest say? Matt Fradd was going to make a bumper sticker stating "I blame Ockham." Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. Matt Fradd needs to have me on his show, okay? I told you he emailed me one time, a long time ago, before he really became real big, and said, hey, would you like to come on my show? And I said, yeah, sure, Pints with Aquinas, and then he never wrote back. I was like, hey, I'm still out there.
I'm still here doing things.
I still have the email.
Do you think about how many people would join Back to the Father after you went on Pints with Aquinas?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Okay. But I am, I'm going to MC the Spiritual Warfare Conference with Father Chad Ripperger here in a couple weeks, and I'll mention, so we're going to have a table. So we're going to build up our audience slowly but surely, because this is important stuff.
Yes.
And right now we got the mighty small audience, but
you all can say, well, if this ever gets really big, guys, we'll make stickers just for you all, so you can be like, we were one of the first.
Yeah.
The OG.
The OGs.
What do we call our Back to the Father fans?
The
Quine Addicts? No, there's
the Quine Addicts.
Quine Addicts, yeah.
Like that,
something like that.
So the first thing off your top of your head is probably the one that works.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Enjoyed that conversation. And I blame Ockham. Oh man, I want to get that.
You should do it before he does it, and then be like, you want to talk? Let's have me on the show.
Matt Fradd will say, I blame Palmer.
Yeah, there you go.
For stealing my idea. I blame Ockham. Oh man, that's a great idea. Okay, let's. I think this trivia may get a little wild. Okay,
Dave, it could be trivia about chocolate chip cookies, and it would get wild. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so what I have, Tissel thought I was going to do trivia about the animal sloths.
I stayed up late studying.
I'm like, so you give me so little credit with creativity. So what I did. Man. And everybody else out there in social media land, I want you to play along as well. Is that I have 13 things listed, okay, and I'm gonna give 3 points each to each of you,
okay,
who can just kind of rattle these off, okay, and they are things that are in, because remember we had the 7 deadly sins, right? Mm-hmm. And 7 deadly sins does not count, but things that are known to be in groups of 7.
Oh, so
go ahead and I've got 13 of them. Okay.
Sacraments.
Okay, so the 7 sacraments. Okay, there's one. So just got 3 points. It's groups of 7. Okay,
Seven. A saga has 7?
And now
No?
everybody out there in social media land is on one team. Okay,
Oh.
so they'd say that.
Hang on.
You've only
Is
got
there-
one. You've only got one of 13. I mean, come on.
Seven cardinal virtues.
Okay, the
There's
virtues.
there's-
yes,
I forgot
okay.
that there's 7 of those.
7 virtues. Okay, William got the. Well, you got.
Isn't
the,
a saga 7 or 6?
You got 3
No.
theological and 4 cardinals. So those are the
Okay.
7.
Oh,
right?
that's what it is.
Okay, Forrest got days of the week.
Oh, for heaven's
days of
sakes.
the week.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh, good job,
social
Forrest.
media out there.
Oh,
so,
creation.
Wait.
The 7 days of creation?
Okay, wait.
Does that count or is that the same?
Wait,
Because that's
hold-
what Annabelle's saying.
That's the same as the 7.
Oh,
7.
man.
Oh, wait, 7 days of creation. Yeah, that's pretty much the days of the week, isn't it? Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah.
Did Annabelle say that one?
Yeah,
we
Annabelle said that
okay,
one.
so we got they are now beating you guys.
Okay,
They've
hang
got-
on a
they've got 6
second. They
points.
have a few people,
so
though.
some of
7
these-
continents.
Oh, there you
Oh
go.
my gosh.
Okay,
Wow,
so-
that took way
okay.
too long.
Dude, okay, so
wait, are
sis-
there 7? Not 7 oceans, but there are 7 seas?
7 seas.
Ah,
Yes,
gosh.
indeed.
My brother
So,
rattling off
1,
random
2,
facts from time to
Okay.
time.
All right. The 7. Okay.
The rainbow. 7
oh,
colors.
Yes,
I'm getting in the groove. I'm getting in the groove.
Oh my goodness, 7 colors of the
I'm
rainbow.
kind of running out of ideas, though.
1, 2, 3. Okay, there's some of these. Okay, deadly sins. We said we're not going to.
Are some of these really random that we're never going to get?
No. A couple of them are like totally like, oh my goodness, I can't believe
The 7 dwarfs.
There you go, 7 dwarfs. Yes, very good. Well,
What are
Sissel.
7?
Sissel is
I'm
proving her.
Let me hold. I gotta check comments. I'm getting
Okay.
distracted.
Wait, 7 C's. Forrest got that one.
Annabelle's gonna say that she doesn't think they're the same. By the way, creation and days.
Okay. So
She also said
I
rainbow.
gave her credit for.
She also said rainbow. I don't know if she said that before or after me, honestly, though, because I was not looking.
Well, she's not here, so we're gonna give it to you. Okay. There's the.
Wait. There's a movie called 7 Samurai. Does that count?
No.
Dang it.
And again,
I think that's a legend.
It's not to say this is an exhaustive list, but there's a couple of them that you guys are going to say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe nobody got this." Come on, Forrest.
There's the Magnificent
Annabelle.
Seven.
It's the
Yes.
Is it 7?
I mean, I don't know what you're going to say, but
the 7 wonders.
Seven Wonders of the Ancient World.
Yes.
Wait, the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World? Those are 2 different
no,
lists.
you're
They
not gonna-
are.
you're not gonna
They
steal
are
that
2
one.
different lists. There
no.
are 2 lists.
Sorry.
Come on,
Okay,
someone back me up here.
So, let's see. So, okay, 7 C's. Okay. Oh, come on.
Back me up, people. That was totally legit.
Okay. I'm going to give you one
Sorrows
more.
of Mary is what Annabelle says.
Oh,
that's a good one.
wow.
You didn't even have that on your list. That's a really good one.
That's a very good. How do you know I don't have it on my list? I don't, but
speaking on that same trend, though, 7. There's the 7 works of mercy. 7 corporal and several spiritual works of mercy.
You're right. I didn't have those on my list
See?
either. Okay. So Sissel
So
just
7,
got 1, 2, 3,
7 wonders
4,
of the
5.
ancient world is also legit.
Wow.
But it's fine.
Okay.
Oh,
so,
Annabelle did the 7 works of mercy too.
okay. So, Sissel is just killing it here. Okay. I'm gonna give you the one that every one of you is gonna go. Seriously, I didn't think of this one.
Oh, great.
Hello, 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit.
Oh.
I mean, hello. I mean, come on.
Okay, I'm going to say, really funny, in the Protestant church, we didn't really talk about the gifts of the Holy Spirit. We always talked about the fruits of the Holy Spirit, and they were different.
And there's 12 of those.
There's 12 of those, so it's
Yeah.
different. So I
7
never
gifts of
really
the
think
Holy
about the
Spirit.
7 fruits of the.
Forrest says the churches of Revelation.
Ooh.
I think there were 7.
Hey, Tova says you're right, Sissel, about the
Ancient?
about the ancient.
But
There's,
it's like it's the ones that are on my list.
Yes.
I mean, okay, so.
but you didn't have the 7
Sissel,
sorrows of Mary
you've
on
got
Mary's
21
birthday.
points. William has 6. Our social media friends have 9. I mean, come on.
Because my friends and I just had a disagreement
Okay,
about
so-
this. What were the
so Forrest just
ancient
gonna-
wonders and which ones were the wonders of the world? And they're 2 different
I'm
lists.
gonna. This is pretty obscure. The 7 hills of Rome.
Oh yeah,
You ever heard that one?
totally knew that. Obviously,
Seriously? Okay.
No.
Okay, now, the 7 swans a swimming.
Oh,
on.
we're not in Christmas yet,
I
Dave.
know.
Let us have a.
Okay, so now this one's pretty obscure, but 7 games in the like World Series, you know.
Oh.
You have to best out of 7.
Oh, okay, yeah,
that's pretty
yep.
obscure.
Yeah.
Now this one is nobody under 40 years old is gonna.
Okay.
Sissel maybe because she's got an old soul. Okay, so. And I want to know from, I don't know how old everybody is, but the 7 ingredients of a Big Mac. was the song. You know this song, right? Okay,
Yeah.
come on, everybody. It's 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Okay, I went back to Kent and I said, Kent, what are the 7 ingredients of a Big Mac? And Kent immediately said,
rattled it off.
Okay, so anybody knew this one? Okay, 7 ingredients of a.
Idea.
Okay, were you ever? Okay, so that.
No.
Okay, so now Sissel has 21.
Although my brother is getting on to me because apparently he's saying there's not a lot more than 7 C's. So is that wrong? Did I not get that one? You said there were 7.
Well, I mean, obviously, but there's 7 C's, like famous.
Famous
There's
C's.
a group
Okay.
of 7
See, there,
C's,
Willem,
right?
take that. That's
okay,
my brother.
So
texting
now
me.
we go into the lightning round.
What? That
Okay.
wasn't lightning? What were you doing?
So Sissel has 21, William has 6, social media friends have 12. And we're going to get more specific on some of these. So rattle them off, the 7 dwarfs.
Oh, Dopey, Grumpy, Sneezy, Sleepy, Doc, Angry. No, not angry. Jolly?
No.
No, what's his name? Happy.
Happy.
Happy, and then.
One more.
Wait, what have I said?
You said Doc, Sneezy, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Dopey. One more. And you just got 6 points. Wow. I am impressed with Sissel. Okay, so now 7 wonders of the world.
The Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
Isn't the Great Wall of China? Is that an ancient one, or is that a
Great Wall of China?
Great Wall of
that's
China?
one.
Not the pyramids. It's not the pyramids. That's the ancient one. Isn't it something about Machu Picchu?
Machu Picchu.
Machu
in Peru.
Picchu?
Yeah. She's like, can you
That's
imagine?
kind of
She's like,
Again, this one was recently my family. We had a discussion about
why
this.
can't you get on Jeopardy or something?
Right?
So
I
is
didn't
Willem watching?
Yeah, I think he is. Or he and my sister are watching. My siblings are watching, so they're
Okay.
sending me. So anyone want to help me out here? We have 2, right? Or 3.
Then you got the Great Wall of China, Machu Picchu in Peru.
Does like the Eiffel Tower count for a wonder, or does that not a wonder?
No.
Okay.
I mean, not in this list. Not in this list.
So probably not the Leaning Tower of Pisa either. What else?
Some of
is
these
it?
you're probably not going to get. Like,
Is it Jesus in Brazil?
yeah,
Christ the Redeemer.
Yeah,
That's
Christ,
it.
Yeah, that is. Now, why is that a wonder of the world? They just made it. Like how they made it, or
Right. I guess so. That's the thing, is that like these are all man-made things for the most part. They're not. That's why there's
the Colosseum in Rome.
Oh,
of course.
Did anybody get that one?
No, Forrest looks like he might have. And Library of Alexandria.
Oh, okay. Colossus and Rhodes Library. Okay. Petra and Jordan. Chichen.
Taj Mahal.
Yeah, Taj Mahal in India.
That was from my brother.
Oh, good. Willem, that's great. The Colosseum in Italy, the Petra in Jordan, Chichen Itza in Mexico, Taj Mahal in India. Okay, so now, let's see. I'm not going to do sacraments or gifts of the Holy Spirit. You guys know that. Let's see. Last one we'll do are, the 7 C's.
Oh, for heaven's sake. China
come
Sea?
on.
Is it China Sea one?
No.
I have absolutely no idea then. I knew that there were 7 Seas, and that's about the end. Baltic? I'm just thinking of any sea that I know.
No,
I'm not going to
no.
lie.
Okay.
No.
Okay, the Arctic Sea, the North Atlantic, the
Indian
South,
Ocean.
the South
That's an
Atlantic,
ocean.
the
Oh,
Indian.
that-
No, the Indian. No, the Indian is.
What?
Oh, it is? Okay.
Southern Oceans, North Pacific, South
Who comes
Pacific.
up with this stuff? Black Sea. Tova says
Okay,
Black Sea.
Black Sea. No, Black Sea's not on.
Caspian Sea.
there. Okay, no,
No,
that's
we're
not
just
on
throwing
there.
out all the
Okay.
seas.
All right, colors of the rainbow.
Red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet, and green.
Roy G. Biv.
Yeah,
right?
Roy G. Biv.
Yeah,
I did it
yeah.
out of order.
Should have
But
remembered that.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? I'll tell you one quick story about a rainbow. The other day in my class over the Highlands, I was talking about heaven and our final land, what the summum bonum, And so I said, what do you all imagine heaven's going to look like, right? And so we're talking about that. So I put a picture of heaven that I have, and across the top of heaven in the picture, there's a big rainbow. And one of my kids was like, "Get that rainbow out of there!" And I mean, because he's thinking LGBT.
You're like,
And
that's
I'm
so sad.
I'm like,
That's-
what? I mean, but you see where people's minds are.
Well, it's so
Yeah,
sad because we
yeah.
were going through my garage and we found this little cloth perch that my sister and I have had for years, and we haven't seen it in forever. And it's rainbow, but it's very like pink and purple kind of rainbow. And we were sat there looking at it, and we're trying to decide, like, because we want to use it again. And I'm like, is this how close to the pride
I
flag does
know.
this look? Can I get away with it?
When one of my birthdays, I think it was my 40th or something, my family got me a birthday and a cake, and it had a big rainbow on it. And everybody's making fun of it. Like, oh, Dave, it's like, it's a rainbow. Come on.
Like, let me enjoy my rainbow.
I know.
I used to wear so much rainbow stuff as a kid. It's so sad. That was like most of my fashion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That fashion kind of
went out,
didn't it? But we're going to reclaim the window. Yeah. I mean, the rainbow. Reclaim the window. There, it's right behind you there, William.
Okay.
All right. Any final comments, thoughts? Hope everybody has a great weekend. We will not have a show next week because we have our Share-a-thon. Right. And then the following week, you're...
hopefully we can do a show, yeah.
Is that the one where you're gone the following week?
Yeah.
22nd.
Yeah.
Oh,
so once again, we're going to abandon everybody for weeks. But there's the option of you guys doing that show.
There is. Well,
like
okay, does everyone want William and I to do a show? Do we think that William and Sissel can do a show by themselves?
Okay,
that's
so
make the vote.
The 3 people watching
you
are
get
to
vote. James is voting yes.
Okay.
Here.
So he says, you really think people are going to say no?
I don't know.
They're gonna like we.
I wouldn't be insulted if they said no. Let's put it that way.
Oh, yes, you would. yes,
I wouldn't publicly be insulted.
Okay, so
publicly.
Forrest says yes.
Annabelle says yes.
Why don't you guys commit to that? Because,
okay, we'll commit to it.
All right. First of all, I can be driving to Kansas and laughing at you guys and saying, boy, no, okay, we're gonna be saying, you know what? These 2 are just outstanding.
My sister says yes. I don't feel like that counts, but
okay.
All right, we'll do it. William, we'll have to plan that.
Yeah, and but I can help you pick a topic or whatever. You guys could do your own thing. So
cool. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we'll see some combination of hosts in 2 weeks.
And also make sure you pay attention to Share-a-thon next week and support the Guadalupe Radio Network.
All right. And I blame Occam. All right. Those are my last words. All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for Back to the Father. And don't forget, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. If you have comments about the show, email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com.